guys, welcome back to the channel, Lone Wolf 902. Today's video we're going to be focusing on another teepee style tent coming from Pomoly, and this is a new large tent that they've come out with. In the background you can see that I have the original tent that Pomoly sent to me, which is a little bit smaller, and I actually do have another tent coming from Pomoly which is currently not with me. It is in the mail on its way, and by the time this video is out I should have that. And then I'll do the same thing I'm doing today. I'll line all three tents up and I'll do a larger comparison video with all three. But today we're going to be looking at this model. This particular model is the 4 to 6 person, and the one in the background is the 2 to 4 person. The other one that's coming is a 1 to 2 person model. So I already have a review on that one way back there. We are going to take a look at that because there are some additional pieces that I'm going to be going over with that tent in this video. And let's just get started with the big boy here, the 4 to 6 person. All right, so right off the bat, you can see that I do have the tent guyed out. It did come with 4 guy out lines already pre-tied. This is a pretty heavy duty rope. It works really, really well, and it helps pull the side of the tent out to stop from wind blowing it in, which is an excellent feature. Both tents have these features, and they work really, really well because you do have a large flat panel, and pulling this out stops from snow load kind of pushing in on the tent or wind pushing in, which is really important because these tents are actually hot tents. So here you can see the stove jack area, and I'll go into that in more detail in a little bit. I just want to go around the outside of the tent and show you guys kind of what we're working with here. Now, I set this up last night, and like I said, I'm in my backyard. I set this up last night and we had a massive rainstorm, and I came out just before I turned the camera on. I went inside, I checked it out. It is absolutely bone dry inside. Not one drop of water came inside of this tent, as the other tent, no water ever got inside of them. So I'll show you the snow skirt on the other side. There's still quite a large puddle of water, and it's just sitting there. Like I said, the entire tent is bone dry inside. It did very, very well. It was extremely windy last night, very, very rainy, and it did really, really awesome. So let's go take a look at that water puddle on the other side. So coming over to this snow skirt here, if I kind of peel it back, you can see there's still quite a bit of water sitting in here, and it's drying up pretty quickly. It's about lunchtime right now, so it's been drying in the sun for quite a while, and it is quite windy, so it's drying up pretty quick. But I just wanted to show this so you guys can see that this fabric is absolutely super slick. The snow, when I had the 2 to 4 person out in the snow, it performed awesome. All the snow ran right down the side. It didn't stick, it didn't clump, nothing. But this fabric is amazing. Look at that. Holds the water, no water, no water got inside. All these seams on the entire tent are like massively reinforced seam taped on the inside, and I'll show that to you guys once we go inside. But I just wanted to show the water action here. It beads right off of this fabric, like really, really good. I'm really surprised with this fabric. I've spoken to Pomoly a bunch of times, and I keep telling them, there it is running off the side there, you can see it beading. I keep telling them that I absolutely love this fabric. Now they tell me this is a 300 denier Oxford fabric. It is silver lined on both tents, this tent and the other tent, and I believe the small 1 to 2 person is silver lined as well. So very, very nice fabric. We'll go ahead and get all this water off of here, let it kind of cool off on the grass. But I just wanted to show that it did get very windy, very rainy. The tent stood up very well. I came out 1 or 2 times last night and it was just flapping and blowing all over the place. I did not tighten these up. I left them alone and they held very, very well. No loose stitching, no tears, nothing. It performed really well. So let's go ahead and open up the front door. The tent does have 2 doors opposite to another, so there's one over here and one over there. Let's go ahead and open up the door and take a look inside. So coming over to the front door, the main difference with this tent is it is massive. I could stand up in this. I could stand up in the other one too. The 2 to 4 person I could stand up. This is the 4 to 6 person. I could stand up in this as well. I'm 5'7", but I can actually stand up fully. I don't have to duck in or anything. This thing is, I want to say, jump on pomoly.com. I'll put the link in the description of this video to their website. I want to say this is probably pushing 9-10 feet. It's very, very tall, and I want to say it probably has a 12-foot circumference. Don't quote me on those numbers though. Go ahead and jump on Pomoly.com, and they have all the specs, the weight, the fabric, all kinds of great information on there. Like I said, the link will be in the description of this video. So let's just go ahead, unzip it. Like I said, it is very, very tall. So it has a very long zipper. So the zipper stops probably about 4 inches above my head. And we'll go ahead and peel this panel back halfway. So there is a peg out here for half of the door, and then you can detach it from this peg, which I'm going to do right now. And you can open the door all the way and then roll it back and hold itself open. All right guys, so here you can see I've got one door panel all the way open. Like I said, it's identical on this side than it is on the other side. So there is a full length zipper. Whatever you see right here is on the other side as well. Now, like I said, this panel is all the way open. You can open this panel all the way open as well and have a huge opening. Or you can open this door halfway to here and do the same over there, and then have basically this opening, but it would be half of that door, half of this door, and there's loads of configurations. Now, behind me, they were kind enough to send me also the half inner tent. So let's start with this first, because I'm going to actually remove it and show you guys the whole footprint, but I just want to show this to you right now. This is the half inner tent. It literally separates the tent in half. It is screened. It does have a very nice large D door with a zipper. It has a nice bathtub floor. This fabric is 100% waterproof again. No, like, I've had these, not this particular one, but I've had the 2 to 4 person on snow and ice with a wood stove inside, and none of that melt came through. This appears to be the same fabric. Now, like I said, it did pour with rain last night, and this entire area I chose on purpose. It's all moss. It's grass and moss, and it holds the moisture. So as I was kneeling down outside of the tent earlier on today, my knees were actually soaked. So I know the ground is saturated. Nothing came through underneath. And I've already checked. I actually put pieces of paper towel in here overnight to see if anything would leak. Nothing came through, nothing got wet, and I still have my wool blanket and sleeping pad in here, which is also completely dry. So very, very good feature to have, especially if you're in like rain or snow and you want to bring the zipper down to about here, so you just have a little crack to get in and out. This fabric, the rain will come in as you open the door. It hits this and it runs right down, so you're not actually getting your sleeping area wet. So this does work as a shield for weather as well. Very, very useful, and I highly recommend using this if you're in a shoulder season with ticks, mosquitoes, bugs, all that stuff. So let's just go ahead and unzip it, and I'll show you guys how massive it is inside. All right, so here you can see I'm inside of the half inner tent, and I'm sitting on one of these Thermarest Redress Pads, the one with the foil. So if you jump on and check the width of this, I want to say they're like 24 inches. I'm not 100% again. I don't really dive into the specs. This is a standard pad from Redress. Laying down here, you can see there is just a absolute ton of room inside of here. I should mention right now, the camera is sitting in the other door. I did open up that door panel, so it is massive, massive vista right now, letting in a lot of light, so I can do a little bit of easier filming. So I want to go ahead, kick my shoes off, and crawl inside and show you guys. Let's go ahead and, so we got the pad here. Let's go ahead and move the pad all the way over. So one person could sleep right here, no problem. So we'll leave the pad there for comparison for a second, and we'll take my shoe, go ahead and put my shoe here. So that's where the pad ends. Let's take this pad again, set it here. So now we got one person sleeping. We've got another full person sleeping, and then I can even fit my body back here, and my feet are at the end. I actually have like 3 more feet to go up. So just to kind of give you guys an idea of the depth of it, it is very, very deep. It's half the tent. So whatever the circumference is, it would be from that pole all the way back. Loads and loads and loads of room. If you were here with 2 people, this would be a massive amount of room for 2 people to come in out of the snow, get your gear off, have 2 separate bedding areas with a generous gap in between, because I mean you could fit someone back here and then push this all the way over and still have a nice little area in the middle to kind of separate the 2 of you. So the last time that I was out with my son in the other Pomoly tent, the 2 to 4 person, we actually slept inside of the half inner tent to that tent, and the 2 of us, remember that tent's smaller than this, the 2 of us could actually fit inside of that half inner tent, and we still had loads of room at the head end and the foot end for our backpacks and other gear. So this is a massive amount of room. It's big, okay? I don't have, like I said, I don't have the measurements, but it's massive, it is big. So give you guys an idea of that. It does have a 2-panel door system. So right now I got the mesh pin back. There is another solid panel, so you can zip the solid panel completely shut and leave just the mesh open, or you can go ahead and zip the solid panel, vice versa, whatever you want to do. So it does have 2 zip panels. The top portion of this is all screened in with mesh to provide good ventilation, and they even provide a hook up top. And another neat little feature that they did is they actually have a little zipper about that long down on the side, and then they have a couple pull tabs on the inside of this sewn in. So if you did happen to be camping somewhere near, like if you're at a campsite and they do offer power, you can actually run an extension cord in underneath of the outer tent, in through the zipper to the inner tent, and then you can zip that shut to keep the bugs out, and you can actually run a cord all the way up to a hook that they put up top to run whatever electronic devices you have. If you have a fan, if you have a light, it's a great option. Like I said, if you're somewhere, maybe you got a power inverter in your truck or a generator, or if you're at a campground or whatever, it just offers that extra little nice touch, you know? So this is the inside. Like I said, it is big, very, very big. I mean, my head can't even touch the top. I can sit all the way back here, legs completely out. My head is just barely touching, and I've got a lot of room. So that's pretty much it for the half inner tent. I'll bring the camera in and I'll actually point out to kind of show you guys the view. It is a really nice view, actually. So when you're sitting in here and you have both doors open, you can really see out. It's nice. So let's carry on with other details of the tent, and there's still quite a bit more to go over. And yeah, we'll talk more about the tent and the features and things that they added to this tent from the last tent that they did. So they did add a couple little things which are really great improvements, and I'm really happy with it. All right, so coming over to the outside of the tent here, we have where they stitched in the stove jack area. Very nice job on this, by the way. And they've gone ahead and put a toggle up here. So let's go ahead and unvelcro the stove jack. So as you can notice, there's a generous gap from the Velcro to where the jack actually folds up. This is to promote the jack being away from the pipe, basically, because if your jack is too close to the pipe, picture a pipe coming up, this will actually touch the side of the pipe and melt. I did modify my 2 to 4 person with a little piece of paracord that I tied here, and then I brought it up to a loop. But they've gone ahead and taken care of that problem in this tent, which is very nice that they decided to change that, making it quite a bit safer. So we'll go ahead and toggle this guy in, and we'll keep it open so you guys can kind of have a good look at it. This fabric is fireproof. This rope material here, it's actually a webbing. They sent me a video of this. They actually held it under a lighter, and this stuff is absolutely fireproof. It does not burn at all. And this is heavy duty, waterproof, fireproof, excellent fabric. Any water coming down here is going to hit this jack rolled up, and most likely I mean, any stove that you run in a tent with a jack, you're gonna get some degree of moisture in here, but this jack folded up here is gonna block most of that. I didn't actually have barely any water come in my other tent. But like I said, any hot tent you run, you gotta expect to have some degree of water getting in there. Now, you can see I'm kind of bending this up. And what I like to do is, this hole appears to be about a 4 to 5 inch hole. The pipe that I've been using lately is actually a 4-inch pipe. So what I would do is I would put the pipe inside and push it upwards, and that'll help this ring push up, which also creates another seal, which pretty much eliminates any water that's gonna hit this. It's gonna run around and it's gonna go down. So very, very nice stove jack. I'm really happy to see the high quality of jack that is in this tent. You don't see this in many tents out on the market, or at least I haven't been seeing this a lot. Very happy with this. Like I said, it velcros down really nice and secure, so when you're not using it with a stove jack, no water's getting in here, no bugs are getting in here. It's sealed off. It works excellent. So that's the stove jack that they've decided to go ahead and put on there. I'm gonna fold it back down for the review purpose and just kind of keep it tucked away because the wind is kind of blowing and flapping everything all over the place. So we'll go ahead, Velcro that back down nicely. Very, very nice. Talking about internal room, let's go ahead and take the inner out and kind of show you guys exactly how much room is in here, because I know you can see it right now, but once this is out, I think it's going to be more clear as to how big this tent is. So I'm going to go ahead and take the inner out. It is very, very easy. It has shock cords on all the points that go with the original pegs that pin the tent in. So very simple. It only takes a couple minutes to take it off. So here's one taken off right here, and these are shock corded, so they do have a little bit of stretch. Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and undo the buckle up top, undo all the corners, get my sleeping pad out, and let's get this out of the tent, and then I'll show you guys the inside of the tent, and then we'll talk about this cone piece up here, which is also really cool. So let's get that out of the way, and let's show you what it looks like. All right, so here you can see inner tent is completely gone. I got the same Redress pad that was inside of that, and it's really hard to show on camera how big this really is. There's only so many angles that you can shoot from it. It just makes it difficult, but I'll do my best for you guys. So here's that pad, and I'll go ahead, lay down. I still have about 12, well here, why don't we just move this right up against the pole. So if I lay down right by the center pole of the tent, here I can still reach my wood stove if I had one sitting here, and I can actually feed wood into it. Now for one person in this tent, it is an absolute palace. One person, you could be out here for quite a while. There's room all back here, all back here. You can load all your firewood. You can have a table and a chair inside of here with your wood stove. You could bring a dog. All your gear would fit inside of here, no problem. So very large, very roomy. I'll go ahead and push this back so you guys can have another kind of look at how far, if you did want to sleep all the way back. Here I am all the way back. I'm still not actually touching the wall when I'm laying down. So there is just a gigantic amount of room in here. And like I said, they advertise this as a 4 to 6 person tent. And I absolutely believe that it is a 4 to 6 person tent without a wood stove. As soon as you put a wood stove in here, I still feel that you could fit 4 people in here, no problem. 4 adults without any problem, plus all of your gear, plus a wood stove. There wouldn't be a whole lot of moving around. It would be more of let's get in there and let's just go to sleep kind of thing. But I mean, for example, if you put 2 people here, you could put another person over here. So if somebody was sleeping right there by the door, the wood stove would be here. There's still enough room for a person here, another person there, another person there, and then the back wall would be all gear storage maybe. There's a whole bunch of different configurations that you can do, and it offers a lot of room. It really does have a lot of livable space. So let's go ahead and talk about the cone up top, because it's basically the same as the cone in the other tent. It allows you to open it up or take it off completely. So let's do that. So if you're not a very tall person such as myself, I recommend putting this on while you're putting the center pole in, because it's very tall, very, very tall. But it does have all these hooks on a shock cord. I've got the seam right here at the door, so I know when I come out the door, that's where it opens. So I'm just gonna open it up and show you guys. It is getting very windy, and I got the sun shining directly in my face, so probably gonna be making some weird faces. All right, so there's the top cone half open. So if you wanted to vent the tent, let's say you're cooking and it's getting really hot and it's not raining or it's not snowing, but there is still quite a bit of wind and you want these doors shut, you can go ahead and shut the doors completely, open up the top cone, and as you can see, it lets a lot of vent. So you can vent out the heat, you can vent out if you're cooking food and you want all the steam to get out, that'll help it get out. Very cool option. I actually use it quite a bit. I'll open up on the other tent, this tent as well, but I do take the cone off quite often, and this fabric really does retain heat, so it's nice to have the cone to open it up and let some heat out. With it being a silver lined fabric, in the other tent when I was out with my son in that camping video, I'll link that at the end of this video as well, we had a very large wood stove and we had a candle inside. One candle lit up the entire tent. Where it's got this silver line, it lights the entire inside of the tent up with a really nice orange glow. Really great feeling. It's nice and warm. You got the crackling of the wood stove. So if you did have a wood stove with a glass window, it would be amazing inside of here. Absolutely amazing, because it would light the whole tent up. Really good feeling. Okay guys, so before I head on over to the 2 to 4 person model, I just want to show and kind of have you guys take note of how tall I am next to this tent, okay? Look at the size of me, look at the size of this tent. I'm gonna go over there and we're gonna compare size. Now, like I said, once I do have the 1 to 2 person model here, which like I said, it's on its way, it should be here in a couple days, I'm gonna go ahead and set these up again just like this. And I'm gonna put the little guy right here in the middle, or I might reverse it. I might go large, medium, then small. And I'll do this segment again to show you guys the differences of the size. But for today, I just want you to kind of look at me, the size of me, the height of that peak. Let's go on over here and look at the difference. So as you can see, I'm over here, 2 to 4 person, 4 to 6 person. A huge difference in size. This is still a very large, roomy tent, but this tent is a lot bigger. So let's come on over here and unzip the door, and I'll show you guys a full mesh inner and a couple things that are different with this tent, and a couple things that they have made better and improved and added to this tent. All right guys, so coming over to the 2 to 4 person model, you can clearly see that I can reach a lot of things. So the height is not as tall as the other tent. This orange cord here is actually supposed to be inside. It's just dangling outside right now. I'll fix that later. So let's ignore that. The stove jack is placed on the same kind of panel as the other tent is. Same kind of green fabric with that yellow fireproof rope. This is where they made one improvement. Check my review for this tent and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about in closer detail. But I did add a string that I bring up to this loop up here to keep this off of the pipe. That tent, the 4 to 6 person, I keep pointing over there because it's over there. The 4 to 6 person tent, you don't need to do that because they've sewn in a nice relief gap from the jack edge to the actual flap. So that's one improvement there. I do have the guy lines attached today. Now this tent did not stay out all night like the 4 to 6 person did. I just set this up when I came out this morning just to show the differences. So this, with the guy line set up, it does add a lot of rigidity to the tent as it does that tent. But this tent, you really don't need to have these set up. okay? If you were out for a week, obviously I would say go ahead and set them up. If you're out for 1 or 2 nights, I don't find that these are actually needed. On the 4 to 6 person tent where it's a lot bigger, it's going to catch a lot more wind, I would say definitely go ahead and use those every time. But this tent, you really don't need to. It stays up, it doesn't hit that much wind, not a lot of wind's hitting it. It's a very, very rigid, sturdy tent with or without these, so it's optional. But let's go ahead and unzip the door and I'll show you guys the full mesh inner, which, like I said, I haven't shown before. Okay, so unzipping the door, right off the bat, there is an improvement. This tent only has shock cord at the bottom. It doesn't have that bit of webbing and that adjuster like the 4 to 6 person does, so that's a huge improvement. I really do like having those adjusters. However, I don't find that I actually need them with this tent. I've set this tent up many times. I have a feel for how tight to pull it, and it sets up within minutes, no problem. So I don't really need the adjusters, but it would be nice for someone new purchasing the tent to maybe have a little bit of adjustability. So that's one thing. Now let's go ahead and open up this panel all the way. It does open like the other door. I should mention that actually. So there is a guy out here, a little loop. I don't have a peg in there. I actually do have a peg sitting here. So you can go ahead, pin that in the ground. So you can open up the door. You can open up the door thin, almost like a little pie slice. So this is half of one panel open. It's pegged in here. It can't go any farther. Take your peg out. You can go ahead and roll the whole panel back, exposing the full mesh inner. So the full mesh inner does have 2 zippers right down here. You can unzip, open them. Go ahead, unzip this all the way. It is a very large D-shaped door, which is awesome. And then climbing inside, I should mention one important thing. This material is the same as the half inner tent that I have for this tent and the half inner tent for the 4 to 6 person model. I say that because I am sitting on nothing but sopping wet moss. Over there where the 4 to 6 person is, it's a mix of moss and grass. Where I'm sitting right now is like 100% moss, and it is spongy and wet. I'm pushing on this. I've been sitting in here for about half hour after I set it up. No water seeping through this at all, but I could feel the cold. I could feel the cold and the wetness. Nothing's actually coming through the fabric, so that's very cool. So we'll go ahead and toggle this guy back. This mesh inner does connect with shock cord to the exact same pegs that the tent gets set up with. So there's no additional hardware, no additional pegs, nothing. You just bring the mesh inner, set it up if you need it, or leave it home if you don't need it, right? So this particular tent, the 2 to 4 person model, can be set up in 4 configurations, sorry. It can be done with 4 because you can set up the external tent, just the external tent with no floor. You can set it up as I have it now with the mesh inner, the full mesh inner. So bug season, mosquitoes, ticks, whatever, you can climb inside. You can set it up with a half inner tent, which I don't have outside with me today, but it is in my review of the tent. So you can set it up that way and have half the tent open with a wood stove and the other half closed in with a zip up tent. So if you are in the shoulder season, fall, and you do have bugs, but you do still want to have a wood stove, you can do that. Or you can set it up with the ground sheet, which I have here today. I'll go ahead and get that out and we'll put that down. There is a ground sheet, the same fabric, no mesh, just a ground sheet. So it is still an open style tent, but you have a floor to at least sit down on, stay dry, which would be beneficial for today. I mean, we do have bugs starting to come out. It's springtime, but it still gets cold at nighttime. So if you do want to lay just the ground sheet down and fold it half, you can still actually run a stove and still just have just the ground sheet. Or you can open it up to the whole tent and have a ground sheet tent with no stove, whatever you want to do. But I'll get that set up after I show you guys this. So coming in, as you can see, there is an orange cord, and this orange cord is the same as up top. That's the orange cord that was hanging outside that I was talking about earlier. Basically, it's got a toggle, and it's got this little sleeve. So the center pole goes through the floor, and then you go ahead and cinch this up nice and tight, tuck it down, tuck it out of the way, and that gives you your bug seal for the floor. It does have one seam going across, which this tent from Pomoly, not just this tent, but the tents from Pomoly, the seam taping that they use is absolutely outstanding. I love it. It's awesome. It is super heavy, super thick. It's not giving way. It's not going to let any water through, so that is a huge plus. It's down in all the corners of this mesh inner. It's all over the tent, both tents that I have. The seam taping is excellent, okay? So if you're worried about water getting inside of these tents, it's simply not going to happen. Even up at the cones overlap so big, like there's a massive portion of overlap. No water's getting inside of here unless you set it up wrong, okay? Which is pretty difficult because, like I said, there's about a foot and a half of overlap. Very difficult to get water inside. But this half mesh inner, I'm going to go ahead and get my Redress Pad, and I'm going to bring it over here and show you guys the comparison, so then you can see what it looks like inside of this tent compared to that tent, and that should also offer up a little bit of a size comparison. All right, I'm going to kick my shoes off here. And I've got the same Redress Pad that I had in the other tent. So right off the bat, you could probably already make out that there's clearly a size difference here. I got the center pole running here. I got the pad pushed right up against the center pole. I'll go ahead and lay down on the pad, push it down here, just like I was in the other tent. And you can kind of see the size difference. So me personally, I love this tent for one person. I love it. I really do. Excellent tent, even with or without the mesh inner. With the mesh inner installed, you do lose because it doesn't go right up against the tent wall, which I should also mention. The half inner tent that goes inside of this tent and the other tent and this full mesh inner, there is a generous 6-inch gap from the outside wall to the inside inner tent, so it doesn't actually go to the wall, which creates a nice air channel all the way around, and also helps distribute heat while you are using the half inner tent and a wood stove. It does go all the way around. So being inside of here, where I am losing about 4 to 6 inches every single wall, I still have a ton of room, loads of room. So if I bring my feet right down to the edge of the mesh inner, lay down, I've got about 1.5 feet, possibly even 2 feet from my head till I hit the inside of the mesh inner. And then there's still, like I said, another 4 to 6 inches to the outer wall. So there is a lot of room inside of these tents, both this and the 4 to 6 person. Now I'm going to take the pad, I'm going to go all the way back here. I set this up, and let's say I want to sleep on this side. I prefer sleeping way back here like this. There's a vent on the outer side of the tent, which the 4 to 6 person does not have a vent. One of those little kickstand vents you kind of put a stick under and it lets air come in. This has one. Right now, it's up at the head end. So I'll bring the camera in closer and you guys can kind of take a look at that. All right, so coming inside with the camera, you can see what I'm talking about now. Now, this spot is horribly exposed. As you can see, it is dark in here, and I love that about this tent. I love it. I'm more of a dark kind of person. I like camping on dark, cloudy days, rainy days. I enjoy that. I don't really care for the nice, bright, sunny days, to be completely honest. I don't know why. I just prefer darker, gloomier days. This tent, I absolutely love. I love it. I love the color. When you're inside, I feel like I'm in a fortress. I don't feel like I'm in a flimsy little tent. I actually feel like I'm in a fortress of a tent. And having the mesh inner really does add to that effect. So laying down, I got my feet down at the end. I'm on my Redress Pad. If I were to lay down like this, I have one door open, letting light in. The cone at the top is completely shut, so all the light's coming from there and here. So I do have the little square vent on the outside. I did put a stick in there to kind of prop it open. This fabric is very, very durable. I'm not worried about that stick at all. Just take a little stick, break it, pop it in there, hold it open. If you don't want it open, take the stick out, let it shut. This adds a lot of ventilation, and I really do enjoy it. I like having it near my head. I'll even use it when I have a wood stove in here. So right directly where the camera is where the wood stove goes. I would sleep like this, and I would have this open so I can get a nice cool bit of fresh air coming in and still have the hot heat circulating around the tent. Or you could do it vice versa. You could put your head up near the wood stove and your feet down here, whatever you want to do. You can even turn it around. So if I wanted to sleep over here, and I'll turn it to the green side because that area is really bright with sunlight right now. So if you did want to sleep right over here like this and have the vent open, I would actually be, for example, right now is exactly where the half inner tent goes. So it connects up top, and then it connects down on these corner points. So if I had the half inner tent inside of here right now, I would be sitting inside of the half inner tent. So this is kind of where they designed the sleeping area to be, and that's why they put the vent over here. And you'll see that in my review of this tent in more detail. But I like sleeping more so like this with the half or the full mesh inner tent in like it is right now. I enjoy sleeping like this. I've got the door open that way. This door opens as well. There are 2 entry points just like the other tent. So if you did want to exit through this side or enter in this side, whatever you got your setup like, works very, very well. It is very roomy. It does work for 2 people very well, very well. It's extremely comfortable to 2 people, I'll put it to you that way. Right now with the full mesh inner, I would have no problem sleeping in here with a friend. We both have separate doors. There's a center pole separating us, so if you like your privacy and being separated, this is perfect. There's loads of room behind each sleeping person, like each sleeping area, and the head end. So if you want to put someone's backpack down at the foot end, someone's backpack up here, you have loads and loads of room. Very, very nice tent. Works awesome. So I'm going to go ahead and jump out, and we're actually going to take down the mesh inner, and I'm going to put down the footprint and kind of show you guys how just the ground sheet setup looks and how that works, and kind of get a feel of, you know, how big the tent is without the mesh inner. All right, guys, here I have the ground sheet installed, and I have it half of the shelter only. The reason I'm showing it this way is because you can still run a stove. I personally wouldn't use a ground sheet out of winter. Let me explain this for a bit. A ground sheet for me would be used in the wintertime on top of snow. So I would lay this down on top of snow. I would only use half like I have now, because I'd still be using a wood stove on the other half of the tent. Now this would provide protection to my air mat, my sleeping equipment, all that good stuff. And then what I would do if I was in and out of the tent, I would go ahead and grab the other half and I would drape it over top of my sleeping gear. So if I am in and out collecting firewood and whatnot, any snow or blowing rain or whatever would land on top of this and not on top of my sleeping gear. So that's why I've chosen to only set it up in half the tent, because I feel if you were to set it up in the full tent, having a full ground sheet, to me, it just doesn't make sense. That's just my personal opinion. It does work. I just don't use it that way. I use it like this. If I do want some protection from sticks or rocks and I am using the wood stove, I'll go ahead and set it up this way. So laying down on it, as you can see, still loads of room. It literally fills half of the tent. It's just another option to use to help stay dry and help protect your gear if you want to go this way. If not, you can bring your own ground sheet or use this as a separate tarp, because it is seam taped again and it does have guy outs all around it. So you could string it up and use it as a tarp, completely optional. But yeah, here's the ground sheet installed. Pretty basic, not really a whole lot else to say about it. It's just a ground sheet. I am on moss again, and I can feel the cold on my butt, but I'm completely dry. So this is waterproof, nothing's coming through. Excellent fabric. You have to check it out on Pomoly.com to see what additional pieces they offer, because there's this, for this particular tent, there's the ground sheet, there's the half inner tent, and then the full mesh inner tent. Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pack this away and going to go ahead and kind of wrap up the review and talk about the 4 to 6 person, because that's the main thing of this video, and then kind of go over a few little differences and whatnot. All right, guys, so hopefully I covered enough detail about this tent and the other tent to kind of give you guys a better idea of both tents. They both come in very similar sized stuff sacks. In fact, I think they are actually the same size stuff sack. So very nice, durable stuff sack, great handles. It has additional buckles on this bag. The bag for that tent back there does not have the additional buckles, but it doesn't need them. So same bag, same fabric, very, very cool. I have additional poles in here that they sent to me, which I'm going to go ahead and pitch the tent in that configuration as well, which will be in a separate video. But yeah, I really do. I enjoy the tents. Pomoly is coming out with some great stuff. Really, really awesome. Excellent quality, very durable. They've got a lot of secret things in the works that I'm not allowed to mention, but I've seen it, and absolutely outstanding. So keep an eye on Pomoly. These guys are going to be doing big things, and there's a lot of really great stuff coming. So like I said, that guy in the background is the 2 to 4 person model. This guy is the 4 to 6 person model. This is the big boy that they got on the market right now. That's kind of the medium guy. And then sometime in a few days from now, like I said, by the time this video is out, I'll already have the smaller of the 3, the 1 to 2 person. And I'll go ahead and set all these back up again and go down the line and do another comparison. So I am in my backyard doing reviews now, so it's a little bit easier to set things up. So if I did miss anything, go ahead and drop it down in the comments. If you have any other questions or suggestions for the next time I come out with these tents, drop it down in the comment section, and I'll be sure to do my very best to accomplish that the next time I come out with these tents. So I'm going to go ahead and pack it up. And yeah, I'm pretty sure I covered everything. Well, one thing I didn't touch on, snow skirts. So both tents obviously have very generous snow skirts. So other than that, they're pretty much the same. One's just bigger than the other. Small little tweaks, small little differences here and there. Excellent tents, and I'm very happy to have them. So like I said, thank you guys very much for tuning in. If you do have any other questions or comments on the tents, please be sure to drop them down in the comment section right away. Go ahead and drop them down there right now, because I'm going to be back out in my backyard again setting these up in just a few days. So if you do have questions and you do want to see something, go ahead and make sure you drop it down, and I'll do my best to do it. So thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.